College Fix.
Thanks for having me. So I'm an associate editor at thecollegefix.com. So I work with about 30 students at any one time to basically train them in the art of journalism and help them consider a career in journalism and media.
Okay, you sound young, but you don't sound young like you're dumb, like you overuse the word like and and. You just don't sound like you're old enough to remember when Bill Clinton has his scandal with the cigar. Am I correct about that?
I think I was born around when that happened. I'm only 29. So
well, hey, that's fine. So you're technically a Zoomer, right? Or are you? No, I guess you're a younger millennial, right?
I'm on the cusp. My wife is Gen Z, but I'm an older generation of millennial. So right on the edge.
The fact that you're on this show speaks very highly of you. I always tell people that you're now part of a the higher culture, as you've been a guest on KPRC in Houston. Matt, tell us what the hell is going on right now at the Country Music Association with their new fellowship.
Yeah, so they're sponsoring a diversity and inclusion fellowship. This is an article we put up a few days ago. And this is a program at the University of Tennessee, University of Alabama, and Belmont University that basically, it's a good program in the sense that it's trying to get people involved in the music industry, teach them, help them learn the ropes, but it's only open to BIPOC students, which means Black, Indigenous, people of color. So basically not white people. Sometimes that means not Asians. And so it probably violates the federal law. There's a retired professor, Mark Perry, used to be at the University of Michigan, Flint, who filed this complaint with the Department of Education and asked them to look into this, which they may or may not. It basically excludes people who are white from this Country Music Association funded fellowship at these three universities.
Interesting. Okay, so a lot of questions here. First of all, isn't this illegal?
Right, that's his complaint. So Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 says that institutions of higher education that receive government money, which are basically all of them except Hillsdale College and maybe a few others, they can't discriminate on the basis of race. That goes all ways. They can't exclude Black students, you can't exclude white students, which this program does. So the Country Music Association as a private group could conceivably run this program without running afoul of the law, but they can't give money and partner with the university and then have the university institute this problem that, as you said, probably violates the plain language of the law by excluding white students, which is a race, which means they're treating white students differently than Black and Hispanic students.
All right, so Belmont University is famous for having they're known for having a lot of famous country singers attend there. Brad Paisley, Trisha Yearwood, I think, isn't that Garth Brooks' wife, Josh Turner? I don't claim to be an expert at country music or anything, but aren't those people all white?
Yes, they are. And I guess that's the idea maybe of this fellowship is to bring more Black and Hispanic people into the country music industry.
I'm looking at photos right now on Google image search, which I know this is purely anecdotal, but I typed Belmont University students, and I can't help but notice they're all white.
Right, exactly. So I guess that's another thing is who would specifically get this scholarship. But as you know, of course, this is part of the woke agenda is that, every single entity, every corporation is sort of being pressured to create some sort of, anti-racism or diversity plan. The thing is, though, based off the history of other plans like this that exclude white students, it's likely they're going to have to change their program to be open to all people, which maybe defeats the purpose of the fellowship to begin with.
All right, so you see these news stories a lot because you work in the industry. You specifically cover news from the world of higher education. Isn't there a big problem right now at universities? Like I finished college back in the aughts, the early 2000s, so I don't remember a time when the multicultural center wasn't a welcome space for white kids, but that's kind of how it is now on a lot of campuses, right?
Absolutely. So, for example, at the University of North Carolina, they actually have an art club that excludes white students. It's called Earth Tones. And then there's different, it's a pretty creative name. I'll give it to them.
Doesn't that almost, like, why don't they just call it blackface? Like, doesn't it sound like that's what they're going for there?
Yeah, in some ways. But yeah, we cover all the time stories of different, usually it's like a STEM program, but we only want BIPOC students in the STEM program. There was a MBA program at the University of Louisville that was sponsored by Yum Brands, which operates like Taco Bell and KFC. that only allowed, that excluded white males from the program. So this happens all the time. It's no longer just, an idea or on a few campuses.
Yeah, interesting stuff. All right, you guys have a story today about George Washington University, a very expensive college, if I'm not mistaken. And apparently, people are welcome to have whatever opinion they want about the Israel versus Palestine controversy. You're welcome to hate Israel if you want. That's fine. But it does kind of feel like it's a delicate tiptoeing through criticizing Israel. You often find that the people that are the most critical of it generally often just have a big problem with the Jews. And I'm not suggesting this isn't some argument for more aid to Israel or whatever. Lord knows we spend enough money on our foreign policy. But there's a news story today about a college professor, Lara Shihai, at George Washington University, and she is actually, there's some federal complaints lobbed against her because of anti-Semitism, and this stems from the Israel versus Palestine stuff, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Ironically, she actually teaches a mandatory diversity course in this professional psychology program, and she said something which, it sounds at first like she's being nice, but then when you listen to the second time, it's actually mean. She apparently told a student, "It's not your fault you were born in Israel," which is, it's not really a backhanded compliment. It's a direct insult, but it kind of sounds like she's trying to be nice, but obviously it's not. And by the way, so whether or not it's, could you oppose Israel but not be anti-Jewish? I mean, yeah, I think there's an argument to be made, but you can't discriminate against someone based on their nationality. And saying, I'm going to treat you differently because of where you were born is like literally treating someone, or saying you don't like someone because they're from Israel or implying it. She also made allegations, and then originally actually George Washington University sided with the students. I think they had like a discipline process. There was like marks on the report cards or something. And then there's a complaint open against the professor, which was also really open against the university. And now there's there's at least an investigation by an outside group, and perhaps the Department of Education will investigate this.
Okay, look, forget about the Israel-Palestine, Jewish-Muslim controversy for a minute. If somebody said it's not your fault you were born in Mexico, that would pretty obviously be an inappropriate thing for a college professor to say. Hey, before we sign off from this interview, you guys have a little good news today. From North Carolina State University, there's a sports broadcaster there named Gary Hahn. And I think this happened back in December during the Duke's Mayo Bowl. He got into a little bit of trouble for saying this during a live sporting event while he was doing commentary.
The Sun Bowl. And amongst all the illegal aliens down in El Paso, it's UCLA 14 and Pittsburgh 6.
All right, okay. So this is one of those things where out of context, it sounds pretty bad. But the day that he said this, there were all these news stories about illegal aliens in El Paso being taken up to blue cities up in the north, and the city of El Paso declaring a state of emergency over illegal immigration. He got suspended. Not shocking to anybody because we know how sensitive the world is. But Matt, there's a happy update to this news story, isn't there?
Yeah, I guess he's back now. He was broadcasting the men's basketball game recently. I'm sorry. He is back now. Yep. He's back in the booth. And people say things in certain, like you said, out of context, maybe it sounds kind of bad, but when you look at it, even, liberal mayors are saying there's a problem with illegal immigration, or at least all the illegal aliens coming to their city is what disturbs them. It makes their dinner, they interrupt their dinner, or they come to their city, but he's back. So that's a good news. He's back for making what is maybe at worst is just like a poorly worded joke.
Matt, are you old enough to remember in the 90s there was a film starring Charlie Sheen called Major League?
Yeah.
Okay. When I hear that guy's voice, this is what it reminds me of.
Into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside.
I don't know why it is, but sports commentators have this sound in their voice where if you get them to say anything even mildly funny, it's just hilarious to me. And maybe that's part of what upset people so much about it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. Everything does sound funnier when a sports announcer says it. So I'm sure he'll be on the hot seat eventually again for another joke, but at least he's back now.
Matt Lamb is here. He's the one of the associate editors of The College Fix. Matt, I am a big fan of your website, thecollegefix.com. I check it semi-regularly when doing prep work for our morning show and this afternoon show. I'm curious, if people don't regularly look at thecollegefix.com, how much do you guys charge for all that information and knowledge that you share?
It's all free. If anyone would like to make a significant donation, you can donate to us, but it's all free. Please take the link, share them on social, email them out. If you're another radio host or commentator that wants to have us on, please reach out. And if you know of a college student or you are a college student that wants to learn the art of journalism, you can reach out as well, and we'd be happy to train you.
I fully endorse that. I love that. People think you need to go to some expensive university and go to journalism school. And then while you're there, often is the case, these young people just get brainwashed. But Matt, I actually went to the University of Illinois, Chicago campus, studied journalism and mass communication. And would you believe it had the exact opposite effect on me?
Wow, I actually went to Loyola, and I've never taken journalism class in my life. It's one of my proudest achievements, besides being married and having kids.
Which one? Chicago, New Orleans? There's one in Los Angeles. The Chicago one. Hey, brother, I'm glad you're on our side, my man. Matt Lamb, The College Fix. Check out their website.
What is Pursuit of Happiness Radio? Basically, political memes in audio format. Happy the Frog, eat your heart out.